Welcome back, friends. This is Inga with Task Quiz. Today we are going to practice what we learned with the commutative property so you can know what you have to do for your math worksheets when you have to actually answer questions about the commutative property with addition. So, just a little reminder of the commutative property. When you do addition between two numbers, you will get the same answer no matter which number you start with. Okay? So, that leads us to this here statement that since 6 plus 2 equals 8 and 2 plus 6 equals 8, therefore we can also say 6 plus 2 is equal to 2 plus 6. So each of these ways of showing the commutative property is true. And this is how you're going to have to use it on your worksheets, okay? You notice I have two different numbers. I'm adding them together, changing the order, but I get the same answer in this set. And then over here, I'm writing it. I'm combining both equations together. Okay, so I'm saying 6 plus 2 is equal to 2 plus 6. Okay, where I have the numbers flipped, 6 and 2, and then here 2 and 6 on the other side. Okay, and they are the same numbers, but it's a different order in how I'm adding them. Okay, so this is what you're going to have to do on your worksheets, probably for school. They might ask you to fill in the missing number with the commutative property. So, since you know 5 plus 6 equals 11, you don't even have to think about it. What would be 6 plus 5? Well, because addition follows the commutative property, you don't have to count it out. You know already, right? You know 6 plus 5 equals 11 because 5 plus 6 equals 11. If the commutative property is true for addition, which it is, and you know 7 plus 8 equals 15, then if you switch them around, 8 plus 7, what's the answer? 15, right? And so you may have to fill in these missing numbers here. Look at this one. If your worksheet gives you big numbers, it won't even matter. You won't have to do any calculations in your mind if they tell you the first answer, right? So if I tell you 23 plus 31 equals 54, then you already know what 31 plus 23 is, right? What's the answer? Because the commutative property is true, it's 54. So the commutative property helps us learn our math facts really fast with addition because we can just learn one version of it and then we know the other version of it. And that makes learning our math facts really easy. Or as we saw here with some bigger numbers, if you know 23 plus 31 is 54, then you already know 31 plus 23 is 54. Okay, so that's what you might have to do in your worksheet. Another exercise you might have to do looks like this. Which of these represents the commutative property? And here we have our numbers. Each expression are connected together. Okay, so our expressions are all connected together now. So as we saw at the top here, since 6 plus 2 equals 8 and let me bring this up here. Since 6 plus 2 equals 8 and 2 plus 6 equals 8, then I can say 6 plus 2 equals 2 plus 6. Okay, so we're looking for something that looks like this to be true. So let's look at this first one. 6 plus 7 equals 7 plus 6. Does that look similar to that? Where I'm adding two different numbers, and then on the other side, I'm just reversing the numbers, right? So this does demonstrate the commutative property. So we are going to put a circle around that one. And we're going to make it a green circle. Okay, let's test this one out. Does this look like the commutative property? 6 plus 7 equals 6 plus 7. Here I put the same numbers, so I have two different numbers, but I'm putting them in the same order. Does this show the commutative property? No. So It is true though, 6 plus 7 is 6 plus 7, but it doesn't represent the commutative property because we're not switching the order on the other side like we did over here. Okay, so we're not going to circle that one. What about this one? Does this one show the commutative property? 6 plus 7 equals 5 plus 8. Now, remember with the commutative property, I've got two different numbers, but it's the same set of numbers. Do I have them both on the other side reversed? And I don't. So therefore, this one doesn't work either, even though this statement is also true. 6 plus 7 is 13, and 5 plus 8 is 13. So that is a true statement. But it doesn't represent the commutative property, okay? Because we need the same numbers on the other side, just switched around, okay? So let's look at these ones here. 6 plus 5 equals 10 plus 1. Again, another true statement, right? 6 plus 5 is 11, and 10 plus 1 is 11. But does this show the commutative property where I have two different numbers? And it doesn't matter if you reverse the numbers around when doing the same operation, you'll get the same answer. And in this case, I've changed the numbers up on this side, right? So even though this is a true statement, it's not showing the commutative property. So let's go over here. 26 plus 4 equals 4 plus 26. Now this one does show the commutative property, right? I have two different numbers, 26 and 4. I'm adding them and then I'm switching the order on the other side and it's still true. Okay, so this one is indeed the commutative property. So we're gonna circle this one here, okay? Now let's go over here. 1 plus 0 equals 1 plus 0. Now that is true. It's a true statement, right? 1 plus 0 is 1, and that's equal to 1 plus 0, right? This is true. But does it represent the commutative property where we can switch the order of the numbers and the statement is still true? In this case, we did not switch the order of the numbers. So we cannot circle this as representing the commutative property, even though it is a true statement. Okay, so these are the types of questions you're probably going to have to do on your worksheets for the commutative property. And I hope that was helpful so you can get your homework done.